Hi there. Dr. Bill Crawford here, psychologist, speaker, author of 7 books, host of 2 PBS specials. Here today to bring you another tip on how to help you create the life you want. How to bring more clarity, confidence, creativity into everything you do. Today I want to talk about the subject of loneliness. It can be a big problem for people out there, and I want to take a new perspective on it. One of the things I always like to do is bring new information to an old subject, see if it could be helpful. This comes from a quote by Dyer. You may know he recently passed away. And he was one of my inspirations early in my life. His book, Erroneous Zones, was one of the first books I read and before I got into psychology. I've always loved his work. And the quote that I stumbled across recently from his says, "You cannot be lonely if you like the person you're alone with." Now, I want to be very clear. This isn't me just saying, hey, you need to like yourself more. You need to love yourself more, and if you'll just do that, you'll never be lonely. This isn't me kind of trying to give you some sort of bumper sticker solution here. I want to look at why loneliness is such a problem and what we can do about it. I think the first reason it's such a problem is because initially it was a problem. When we were babies, if we were left alone, we would die. We needed somebody to feed us. We needed somebody to take care of us. And this limbic system, this middle part of the brain that is responsible for keeping us alive, knew that on some level. So loneliness as a baby meant fear of death. And so that encoded that in a big time. So that initially loneliness was a real problem. However, after we grew into 2, 3, 4, 5, we got really clear that, okay, if I'm left alone, I'm not going to die. And then it kind of determined what kind of messages we were getting from the environment. If we were getting the messages that, hey, you're a fun guy to be around, fun person to be around, people like you, people love you, then, hey, you're in good shape. But if you got the message that you're not enough somehow, that there's something wrong with you, or that the only way you are lovable and valuable is if you are loved and valued by others, then being alone meant there was something truly wrong with you. It means you were being rejected by others. So you had to find someone to be around in order to feel valuable and worthy. If we got that message but didn't know we were getting that message, we kind of carried it into our young adulthood. As teenagers, the whole idea of being alone could be a real problem because at that moment we're trying to connect with our peers. It's a really huge time in our life. And then kind of creating relationships and having families and having jobs and all of that, if that was revolving around this fear of being alone or this belief that if we were alone, that meant there was something wrong with us, that meant people didn't want to be around us, then all of a sudden loneliness took on once again this big, huge, threatening experience. But here's what's important. It was learned. It's not a natural experience. Once we've learned as children that, hey, if we are alone, we're not going to die, 2, 3, 4, 5, then it depends on the messages we were getting from our environment. It also depends to some degree on personality type. Extroverts in general get their energy by being around people. Introverts in general get their energy by being alone. So introverts in general are more comfortable with being alone than extroverts. However, I am an extrovert, and I travel about 200 days out of the year, and during that time, the only time I'm really connecting with people is when I'm presenting or doing counseling or consulting. The rest of the time, I'm just spending time with me. Now, fortunately, I guess, I was an only child. So I learned to enjoy my own company very early in life. Plus, I had parents that kind of reinforced my own worth and value. So I grew up not needing people to be around or not needing people to like me in order to feel likable. If you grew up with the message that you're not enough unless you are liked by others, unless you are around others, you get your worth from other people's eyes, you want to begin to change that. The first way to change that is to get really clear, okay, who am I that I would love to spend time with? What are the qualities and characteristics I bring to life that make me someone I would like to be alone with? I encourage people, if you don't know that, to make a list of those 20 qualities and characteristics. Now, if you're not a brain surgeon, you don't put brain surgeon on there. This is not making stuff up. If you're curious, or if you have a good sense of humor, or if you're caring, if you're conscientious, these are qualities and characteristics that make you fun to be around, valuable to be around, and worth being alone with. You want to know what that is. So I'm going to encourage you to make your list. And then I want to encourage you to start practicing enjoying being alone. What do you enjoy? If you go to a movie by yourself, the wonderful thing about that is if you don't like the movie, you can leave. You get to do pretty much whatever you want. What are the activities you enjoy doing? If you begin to practice doing that with yourself, someone you can enjoy being alone with, you're going to start getting good at that. It's just a practice process. Unfortunately, most of us grow up and we haven't practiced that. So this is your opportunity to make a decision. Would I like to live the rest of my life feeling how I do about myself and being alone with me? Or would I like to change that? Would I like to become more comfortable around being alone? Would I like to enjoy my own company more? Because the beautiful thing about that is now when you're making choices, you're not making choices between spending time with somebody you really don't like or spending time alone and feeling lonely, two bad choices. You're making choices between spending time with someone you don't like or spending time with someone you do like, yourself. And therefore, the choice is easier and you spend less time with people you don't like. It's a really nice caveat, a little kind of nice thing that comes along with that. So what I'm going to encourage you to do is just kind of take a look at the messages you've been given. If you've been given messages that you are someone that is fun to be around and people love to be around and you love to be around, then terrific. If you've been given the message, however, that you're not enough, that somehow you have to have people validate your worth before you feel worthy, validate your value before you feel valuable, you want to begin to change that. And as you change it, you can take more responsibility and control of your own experience of life because you're not depending on other people to do that. I hope you're finding these videos valuable. I really enjoy bringing them to you. If so, please hit the like button, share them with your friends. You know how Facebook and YouTube and Google really pay a lot of attention to how many people like it, how many people share it. Also, if you want me to come and do a presentation to your organization about accessing this clear, confident, creative part of the brain regardless of the situation, this is what I do. So go to my website, billcrawfordphd.com. Let me know what you're interested in, and I would love to work with you about that. If you want to work with me around kind of dealing with this whole loneliness learned perspective and changing that, it's also one of the things I do. Go to the website, hit the contact button, let me know what you're interested in. By the way, if you forget the website, just Google me. I'll come up on the first page. In the meantime, here's to you bringing more clarity about your own worth, confidence in your ability to be alone with yourself and enjoy it, creativity in that process, more clarity, confidence, creativity to everything you do, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.